Well, here we go. Welcome to another episode of JC Unplugged. I've got no intro. I literally just start the show, and I'm excited about this week's guest. He is Matt West. He is the voice of the PBR. It's good to see you again, my buddy.
Man, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, what makes you the voice of the PBR?
Dumb luck. Let's be completely honest. Dumb luck. You know what? I grew up super shy and introverted and didn't really want to talk in front of people or especially to crowds. But I've been around Western sports my entire life. I've been around bull riding. I've been around horses. I've been around rodeo my entire life. And I just kind of got forced into announcing like a junior bull riding event for little kids. And it kind of snowballed after that. And then once I got into the PBR, it was crazy because I was just an announcer, and then it turned into, "Hey, we need somebody to go do this press conference." And so I went and did this press conference, and then it was, "Hey, we need somebody to host this Q&A." And then it was, "We need somebody to host this after party." And then we launched a digital network, just like everybody else that's now streaming. We launched an OTT, and they started talking, "Hey, we need somebody that can go over and do kind of this play-by-play role for what we call Ride Pass." And I got voted into that position and started kind of testing the waters there. And then it turned into, "Hey, we need somebody to do some television." And so I've literally done everything in our company that has to do with a microphone or a voice or any kind of like presence like that. So it's evolved over the years, but, yeah, it's been a wild ride. As you know, one can have, it was definitely a wild ride.
It sounds like it. What was your first event that you did? What was that event that drew you into being, a humble, quiet kid, now the voice of the PBR? What was it? Do you remember what exactly was that first event that said, "Hey, we need you to announce or broadcast"?
Yeah, it was that little junior bull riding, and it was a bunch of kids that were 18 and under, and look, I'd been around it, like I said, my whole life. I grew up I'll tell you what, where my true passion for storytelling comes, and this is gonna be kind of a curveball, but I'm a giant pro wrestling fan, okay? And so growing up in Oklahoma, I listened to Jim Ross. Before he was good old JR in WWE, I had the luxury of what was called Mid-South Wrestling. And also we got the Texas Pro Wrestling uh circuit with like Devon Erics and the Freebirds and all those guys. And I know a lot of your audience is going, "What?" Um,
I'm dialed
but
in. You keep going. I'm dialed in with this conversation.
but I grew up listening to voices like that, and like listening to Jim Ross and how he would tell stories. And there was a gentleman named Clint McSpadden who's a pro rodeo Hall of Famer, and in my opinion, one of the greatest storytellers ever. Kind of the Paul Harvey of Western sports, if you will. And so between those two, between Jim Ross and a gentleman named Clint McSpadden, I really got a love for just storytelling subconsciously. I didn't realize that that's what was happening, but I did. And then, like I said, ultimately, when I got kind of thrown into and forced to do that little kids event, kids bull riding, and I hated it. I was terrified. I was scared to death. But ultimately, when they said, "Hey, we'll pay you cash money if you want to come back and do this again," you know what? Sometimes that can sway a guy's decision. And so that, yeah, that led me back for the second time. And then it was the love of everything I was getting to do that kept me there.
Were you nervous calling your first rodeo event? Because I'm sorry, any sporting event, whether you're calling professional wrestling, calling a football game, it's not
Mhm.
easy. And the old trick is like if you're watching a football game, just try to announce it, but don't do it for 30
Yeah.
seconds. Go for 5 minutes and try to call something. People can
Yeah.
do it for maybe 5, 10 seconds, but after that, it's like, whoa, I've got to fill so much time. Were you nervous at all? Was it hard the first time you called your first professional bull riding event?
I'm still nervous. I
Yes.
still get nervous every single time, and I think that's the beauty of it. I think if you stop being nervous, then you don't really care as much, and maybe that's kind of a love of what you do because you want to do such a good job. Yeah, I was terrified, and when I say terrified, I mean terrified, like breaking out, like nervous. I like had this. I don't even want to go into detail, but like I had like a stress reaction and got pretty sick my first PBR event, and I was just so, ridiculously nervous and anxious about it. I still get that way. Obviously, it's a little more controlled these days after, what, 22 years of announcing, but Yeah, I still get nervous. I really do. I really get nervous if it's something different,
Mhm.
and that's what I love is getting thrown out of my comfort zone. And so, if I get thrown in the mix of like smaller rooms, if you fill up T-Mobile this weekend and say, "Here's a microphone, go do your thing," that's easy. But if you put me in a room with 50 people and say, "Hey, here you go fill 5, 10 minutes," that's what makes me nervous.
Right? But
Yeah.
why do you still do that though? Because I'm the exact same way. I always have nerves.
Hmm.
Put myself in the kind of event where maybe hosting an event, I realize I'm speaking in front of 100 people, and so big time Las Vegas players in there, and I'm on stage and I get nervous. I'm nervous going into it. But for me, it's that feeling when it's done of like, wow, I was meant to do that. I was meant to host that event. What is
Hmm.
it for you? What pushes you to continue to do this?
The same to an extent, but also the fact that like no matter what we're doing or who we were growing up, what we're doing now can have an impact on somebody. And I think about that a lot, and especially as I get older. When I was younger, I was just out there and I was like, look, I'm blessed that I get to tell the stories of these incredible athletes. But now I look at it from a little bit more of an emotional perspective of, yeah, I do get to tell the stories of what I think are the toughest athletes in the world, but by me telling their stories, I'm having an impact on their life. I'm having an impact on their livelihood, their families, everything about their uh, work existence. I'm having an impact on that, and maybe to the equal on the other side for the consumer and for a fan. I'm having an impact on their experience with this sport and with these guys. And I can determine whether or not they like this, if it's a one time thing, or if they stay dialed in and they continue to come back and they're a part of the mix from now on. Like, I think about that. If there's somebody that's seeing this for the very first time, I want them to want to come back. And now I feel this extra pressure and extra responsibility to be a part of the voice that brings them back and gives them a reason to wanna stay completely locked into what these guys are doing.
That's so good. That is so good and so true if you think about it. You mentioned Jim Ross
Yeah,
earlier. Jim Ross
yeah.
called so many legendary matches in wrestling, and I think maybe it's actually Jim Ross's voice and what he said about said move or said match that made that match so famous. Not necessarily the
Mhm.
moves in the ring, which were awesome, but having that Jim Ross element elevates it, and that's what you do for the writers. You elevate everyone, which is so cool.
Like we're adding the lyrics to the song,
Mhm.
right? I've heard it said like that. Like they're playing the music. We're just adding the lyrics, and the lyrics sometimes can be more powerful. I mean, how many people get on Spotify or Apple Music right now and like they're listening to a song that they've been listening to for years, but they go back and they look at the words, and then when they read the words and they fully understand the lyric, then they're like, oh, then that song means even more. And I kind of compare what we do to that. Like we're adding the lyrics to the song.
This is so good. This is Matt West. He's the voice of PBR, and it's well, let's. I want to get back to more about your journey and everything, but let's talk about PBR. Let's talk about what's happening at T-Mobile Arena. What makes this different than other PBR events?
Look, we talk about professional bull riding, and for the entire existence of the sport, it has been an individual sport. It's been one man versus one beast, and it truly still is that at the core of the sport. But 4 years ago, we decided to enact this teams concept, and what happened was obviously you have guys that want to be team owners, and namely like Richard Childress, who has a NASCAR team, and he's got a team of drivers and mechanics and pit crews that work underneath this umbrella of RCR. We're doing the same thing in the sport of bull riding. And, now we have 10 different teams. All of these teams have a full roster of guys. It's similar to basketball with our starting lineups where it's 5 on 5. And
Mhm.
in each of these games, it's 5 guys from this team against 5 guys from this team. Um, and so just like anything, simplicity, the highest score at the end of the game wins and advances. And we're in our playoffs right now. So we are essentially what 72 hours away or less from our Super Bowl Sunday. But our playoffs happen in one weekend and it all happens at T-Mobile Arena. It starts tonight, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday we'll crown a team's champion. And it's beautiful because you don't have to know anything about the sport of bull riding. If you're from Nashville, Tennessee, or out in that area, Nashville's got a team and you know that they are blue and yellow, and I'm going to throw on my blue shirt and I'm going to go cheer for my team. I don't have to know anything about the sport. Same Carolina, Arizona. Great thing about Arizona is Arizona, the Ridge Riders are the closest team geographically to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Their colors, their colors just happen to be the exact same as the Raiders. So I don't care if you're throwing on a Raider jersey and you're coming out and
Yeah.
cheering for the Arizona Ridge Riders. Like that's what makes it easy, right? We all follow football or basketball or baseball. We don't know every single player's names or where they come from, but we know they're part of our team. And that's what makes this special is because we have seen fans, new and old, really kind of embrace that culture of like, I've got a team. Doesn't matter who's on it. That is my team. And I think that that's why we all love sports, right?
It makes it entertaining that way. Are there any any storylines if someone's going this weekend to check it out for the first time? Are there any storylines that we should be aware of? Like this one guy hates this guy, or these
Yeah.
two team members are fighting. What do we got?
Look, there's a what a 19, 20-year-old kid by the name of John Crimber who is the now back-to-back league MVP. We just handed him that buckle yesterday, as a matter of fact, here at the South Point. He's a now two-time MVP. He's a young, up-and-coming rising star, but he's not scared to talk a little smack, right? And I love that. He is not scared to go, hey, BTA, we put that boot to, the backside, and it has kinda changed the dynamic in our sport. So he just happens to be on the number 1 team in the league, and with that, you got a young kid who's a little bit outspoken. He's got superstar written all over him, but he's the only superstar really on his team, so to speak, coming into this season. They have taken this momentum and ridden it all the way to the number 1 spot coming into Vegas. So everybody wants to take them down, right?
I love that. It's a storyline to follow right there.
It is, but the team that finished second is equivalent to the New York Yankees. I mean, the Austin Gamblers won it all a year ago, and they have went out and they have gotten every big name superstar. The amount of world championships that they have in their roster is it's an embarrassment of riches. It truly is. I mean, they've got literally some of the biggest names in the sport all on one roster. And so, they finished second in the regular season. Can they go back to back and win this championship again? I don't know. We've seen underdogs. We've seen the last place team come from behind and win it all here in Vegas. So there's so much to talk about. And thankfully, I get to do that for the next few days.
Oh, it's great. Well, it's so fun. It's so exciting. It's nonstop energy. This is Matt West. If you're just joining us, he's the voice of the PBR. You and I were together earlier this week. I was doing some live shots for Channel 8 out there at the South Point
Wait,
when you
don't
guys were.
overlook this. You got on a bull. Don't
I
just
got
skim by our time together. You got on a bull, okay? It's crazy because we talk about how many thousands and millions of people see the sport or see something and they're like, man, I would never get a chance to do that. Even if I did, though, and you did that, you embraced it, you got on a bull, and it's like, how many people in the world never get that opportunity? So
seriously,
that was
dude.
super cool.
It was awesome. It was incredible. And it's so funny because one of your PR team members sent me a note and said some other news anchors were out there and no one else was allowed to get on the bowl. It was just me. I was the only one here in Las Vegas. And you were there to guide me to get on that ball. And also Mason Taylor was out there as well, one of these riders. He's incredible. And you showed me how to do it and you were telling me what to do. And I was, we're live and I got on the bowl. And I'm sorry, when you sit on that bowl, 1,200 pounds of power, just sitting there in the chute, you feel the power underneath your legs. It's so hard to describe, but I have so much more respect for everything that you guys do. But man, just even sitting on it is an experience.
And that's essentially on the sidelines. I mean, that's like staying on the sideline at an NFL game. You're not feeling any of the actual competition. I mean, that's getting ready before the game time, and you felt it firsthand. There is an intensity that comes with this sport. And by the way, not only are you sitting on a 17, 1,800 pound athlete that is is ready to explode out of that chute, but you're surrounded by solid steel. You felt it. And I
Mhm.
don't think that television sometimes does its service when you're getting down in there and you've got your arms up on the sides or your feet are sliding down the sides. Literally everything around you in that little box is solid steel. So if something does happen to go awry, it's dangerous. It
Yeah.
is it is it is incredibly dangerous.
You go back and the clip posted on social media, you see Mason is there. He's like ready, and you too as well. You're ready to if that bull started, and the bull's name was Smooth Violator, is the bull I sat on. You guys were ready to yank me out of that chute if anything happened. What is it about cowboys that draws them to this sport? Because this is a sport where I mean, you get on that bull, you know, going into it, there is a great chance of injury. And a lot of these riders, and I hate talking about injuries, but a lot of these riders have had some serious injuries. What is it that draws these guys and girls to this sport and to sit on that bull?
Look, I think it's very similar to any sport, any athletic endeavor. I always compare it to UFC because you have ordinary guys doing extraordinary things, but in PBR, in my opinion, you turn that dial up a little bit because not you're not going against somebody in your weight class. You're going against somebody that is realistically 10 times bigger than you are. Most of these guys are 150 pounds. Most of these bulls are 16, 17, 1,800 pounds. So, most of the time, more than 10 times their size. And the sheer challenge of it, I think that that is something that is embedded into our DNA as cowboys, rural America, farmers, ranchers. It is just embedded into their fabric that they have to go work hard. They have to go do the things that a lot of people don't want to do. And that's get up before the sun to go feed and take care of, whether it's growing crops on a farm or if it's, taking care of animals that feed America, feed the country, feed the world. Whatever that is, going that extra mile to do something that, a lot of people aren't really capable of doing. And I think that that carries over into the sport because look, the percentage of people that can do this is so minute that it's ridiculous. Okay. Even the guys in the sport, if you can ride 50% of your bulls, you're doing something pretty incredible. Um, similar to baseball. Baseball batting averages, you're not going to get up and hit a home run every game.
Yeah, it's a good
If
point.
you
Yeah.
if you get on base 50% of the time, like you're doing pretty well.
Hmm.
Bull riding statistically is very similar, but I think it goes back to just the sheer thrill of being able to accomplish something that you're not supposed to be able to accomplish.
This is a great conversation. It's Matt West. He's the voice of the PBR. When bull riders are not riding, are they watching like what are they doing right now? Are they watching game film? I know football. You watch game film. Are they watching game film of the bull they're going to ride to see that the bull bucks in a certain manner? How do you prepare for an event like this weekend?
It's interesting because it's really, in my opinion, one of the one of the sports where you can only practice with live rounds. And by that, I mean, if you're a UFC fighter, you're not going in and just fighting every single day. You might spar, you might grapple, you might work on some technique, but you're not going in without headgear and just going it. You're not going and getting in a bar fight on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to get ready for a cage fight on Friday or Saturday. But bull riding is that way. You have to go get on bulls Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just like you're doing on Saturday. So practice is exactly like the competition. And look, I know it sounds a little bit harsh, but it is a sport where you can actually die practicing. Yeah, it is that dangerous. And so again, I have so much respect for these guys, what they do, what they're willing to do. And it's not, unfortunately, it's not a sport where there's guaranteed multi-million-dollar contracts. I mean, these guys do it because they love it. They do it because it is how they provide for their family, but it's still one of those things where it's sport in its purest form. You have to love what you're doing.
It's you can feel their passion when you see them out there
Hmm.
riding and when you meet them too.
Yeah.
I got about 2 minutes here. I just want to go back to
Okay.
you because you and I hung out together for the first time this week. You're in phenomenal shape. You're on the road all the time. How do you do it? What's your secret? Do you work out every day? I know you own a gym as well, so fitness is big with you, but just how often you're working out? How do you pull it off when you're on the road? Tell us more about your fitness routine.
So when I was in college, I got severely overweight. I put on, well over 100 pounds after I graduated high school. I went to college and just kind of lost myself. I moved home, joined a gym, started trying to get everything dialed in. And I always said, if I can get to a point where I can open a gym and invite everybody that felt comfortable, I would do that. And I got to do that a few years ago. But ultimately, for me, the wear and tear of just being on the road, different hotel every weekend, airports, rental cars, the wear and tear on your body physically, just being on the road, not even doing what the guys are doing. That's what's crazy about it. But like for me, I have to work out every day. As soon as we get done here, I'm headed to the Dragon's Lair down the road. I'm going to get a workout in. That's my non negotiable. And I think that it's important in life to have non negotiables, things that no matter what life throws at you, you have to. This is something I'm going to do today. A lot of people say, I got to make my bed first thing in the morning. I have to work out, especially on game day. And so I take it serious because I want to be around when I'm 80, 90 years old, and not just be around. I want to be around and be able to take care of myself, my family, my lovely wife. And so that's important to me.
I love this, man. I know you had a podcast at one point. Are you still
Yeah.
doing that? I think you should, if you're not, you should bring it back because just you could be a life coach. Just hanging around you. I pick up on your energy and I love it. And your story is inspiring. Your words are inspiring. I think you need to be out there spreading your message to more people.
You know what's crazy is I appreciate that so much. That's something I've been praying a lot about. And I think it's something we're going to end up doing. So I'll keep you posted for sure.
I love it. Well, I'm so happy that this week played out for me where I got to meet you and become friends with you and sit on a
Same.
bowl. And I went back and I watched it. And your commentary is, I think you said, wrap your legs around that like a man and hold on or something like that. I'm like, I'm nervous. It was so good.
And well-deserved nerves for sure.
Yeah. Well, Matt West, thank you so much. Enjoy the weekend here in Las Vegas, and we'll catch you again next time you're in town, buddy.
Appreciate you so much, man.